listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily, Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text our little show on 8 12 15. Follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
Hi, Frank.
Hi.
Morning.
Hi.
Hi.
That's it. People think they've accidentally tuned into Glee.
Yeah, lovely
Here
to
we
have
are.
you back.
It's nice to be back.
You've been so busy.
What to bear thinking about. Oh, I'll tell you. Now, I know something that you don't like, Emily, is people...
That's the end of that sentence.
yes,
I thought that was me.
is people telling you about their dreams.
Yes, I believe I once said it was more boring than people telling you about their problems.
Yes. Well, but I would like to share just a brief dream I had the other night, which has been nagging at me.
Can I just say, I quite like it when we do dream analysis on the show. I don't know if that...
Well,
Yeah, but don't do. And then the shark ate the bubble gum, and I was running down a corridor.
No, it was a bit more, it was horribly believable. I was crossing the River Thames on a bridge with my partner, and suddenly, unexpectedly, as no special event, the red arrows appeared in the sky. Have you ever been surprised by the red arrows? 8, 12, 15. And, I mean, in a public display context, not individually in any way.
Yeah, they didn't
I don't mind
appear in my
individually. As
bedroom.
keep it clean. I don't want to hear about them being in...
Someone's proofread a document and just doodled in all the margins.
I don't say I went into a urinal and they were there in V formation. But anyway, they were in V formation in the sky. The usual red, white and blue smoke. You know, standard arrow procedure. Do they have... what I was thinking about this after I woke up, do they have a military role, the Red Arrows? Or are they
I
just...
see what you mean, yeah.
I imagine them sort of pointing out enemy camps with their pointy formation over here kind of a way. You know the opening titles to Dad's Army?
Yes.
If they, I don't know if they got reversed. Do they have reverse?
I don't think they have reverse
I don't know.
on planes. No.
I see them as purely decorative, these characters.
Yeah, well, I wonder though. I wonder if they, because I think they're I know they look like real men, if you know what I mean. I mean men, because I've seen there's a signed photo of them on John Colshaw's wall when you go into his flat.
Is that?
So they look like tough guys.
Are they
they're
ex-military personnel?
I think they are military.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
I love a military.
I think they're still RAF.
Any
Yeah.
military listening, hello.
But does that mean that...
Well, I'm just saying, shout out.
You know, in Ain't Half Hot, Mom, where there's the sort of the Ents people who go around, you know, meet the gang us. The boys are here.
The boys who entertain you.
Are they that? Are they basically just entertainment? So they don't do any warring.
You think they might straddle the line between entertainment and warfare?
I don't know. They.
Well-
I'm confused about their role, but
Like
someone
Bob
out there will know.
But presumably, guys, that display aviation is it looks quite harrowing, some of it.
Harrowing. That's what it looks. I wondered if say at the NAFI they've got an outdoor snooker table,
Yeah.
if they could use the shadow of the red arrows to line the reds up. If
That would be good.
If the triangle was missing, that. Just a thought. Anyway, they crashed in the dream. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't sure whether to bring that up, but down they all went. It was awful. Absolutely awful.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, and there was a blue one at the front.
And what did you do?
What's he
Nothing.
doing there?
I
A
know,
blue
it
one?
looked like a nib dipped in ink. There was one blue plane at the front who suddenly stopped, but
No,
they must have...
Not having an interloper in there.
No,
Just
he
some
did-
bloke
he
with
did
his own
like-
Can
blue
I just
plane.
say, I feel really sorry for you that you dream about red arrows. I mean, I have dreams about relationships and friends and things like that and conversations, but you dream about plane formations.
Well, I mean, they're not every day, are they? One rarely sees the red arrows. Certainly after my dream. And they'll be turning up in my dream again. Anyway, the blue one at the front stopped and they crashed and all fell into the sea. So be careful if you're a red arrow. These are the sort of dreams you have when you're doing a live TV show.
Frank Skinner
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Now, we've had an answer to your Red Arrows question,
Okay.
and it's from Sanjay, a.k.a. 255.
Okay.
It begins, "Hi, Paul.
All right.
The Red Arrows..."
Are we going to trust this bloke's information?
I mean, let's give him a pass on Paul and see how the Red
Okay.
Arrow stuff is doing.
Okay. The Red Arrows are part of the RAF.
I think I established that.
They are...
Good.
Oh, already you've got off on such a bad foot with Sanjay because of the
No,
ball
no,
game.
it's all
They
right.
are the RAF aerobatics team.
Yeah.
The pilots who fly them are all frontline squadron pilots. They have to apply and go through a selection process to be part of the Reds team.
Oh.
They change every year. They've even had a female pilot on the team. I hope this helps.
I'm not sure about the use of the word even.
Even, yeah.
Yeah. Because you know what they drive like. I bet she was the one in blue.
Maybe.
But she said, I don't look very good in red. And then suddenly put the brakes on, you know, a hedgehog.
And the
I bet there
trouble
was a
is-
hedgehog on the cloud.
They spend too much time gossiping when they've got their
Yes.
formations to be doing.
I'm
Becky-
glad that they've got
Yes.
lady arrows.
Well, Becky from
Yeah.
South Staffordshire also says all Red Arrow pilots have previously been pilots in the RAF, and when they
Okay.
finish their time with the Red Arrows, they go back to their duties.
Okay, fair enough. So it's like a year off.
Yeah, exactly. Gap
Yeah.
year.
When I say a year off, I would not want to be flying a foot away from 4 other aeroplanes. This is what the bloke in the middle must just
Yeah.
spend the whole flight going, "Ah!" Not even. He's got to be flying like that. Can't even look out the window. Stop, keep going. Ah! Really braced for it.
So it's a really stressful year off.
Oh, what a
Stressful.
stressful.
Tell me about it, Paul.
Frontline duty.
I mean, I don't know how many outings they have, the Arrows, but you've got to say in a year they're going to be doing
Yeah.
20 jobs, so.
Yeah.
That'd be
all
this
that
is another
snooker.
good texting. How many outings can you expect in a year as a Red Arrow?
Yeah, if you
exactly.
could text in on 81215 to Paul at Absolute Radio, where Paul is waiting for your text.
Ever been surprised by the Red Arrow? I still had no answer to that. Can you believe it? I mean,
No, we've not had an answer to that.
it did make me think, though, after the dream, that the horrors at the end of the dream of seeing them go down. I mean, there was nothing graphic, but even so, just seeing them drop, I did think maybe it's time to stop the Red Arrows. It's an accident waiting
Oh,
to
I
happen.
mean, that's quite a big leap, Frank, just because you had a dream.
Yeah, if you'd seen what I'd seen.
I think it might have had more
Just
to do
not
with...
safe, that's what I'm saying.
I think
Too
you-
close.
I think you rightly analysed it as being possibly an anxiety dream to do with live television.
I think it perhaps could have been that, but even so, it did bring home the fact that the Red Arrows do fly, in my opinion, a little bit too close to each other.
Yeah,
Yes, I know what you mean.
And I think that has its pitfalls. That's all I'm saying.
sure.
I mean, you know, I'm selfless. I gain or lose nothing by what happens to the Arrows, other than, you know, my basic humanitarianism. I'm just saying, guys, you could put a foot either side, we'd be happy. We'd be happy with a looser arrow. Okay? Why not just have one big, enormous, pointy plane and just paint some other planes on the bottom? Then paint the sky on it, and everyone would think, wow, look at that, and everyone would be safe.
That is clever.
I like that, the Red Arrows.
I love the Red Arrows. I don't want to see them perish.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had some correspondence in from Jo,
Yeah.
and she's not 100% happy with us, Frank.
Okay.
She says, you mocked him. I'm not going to do a tone of voice, because you know when people do a tone of voice.
I've told you that people should text and
know.
email with stage directions.
Yes,
You mocked
that's a good
him
idea.
for saying even women, him being...
I'm calling this so far, in brackets, firm but not reprimanding.
Yeah.
This is when Sanjay referred to even women being
Okay.
Red Arrow pilots. You mocked him, i.e. Sanjay, for saying even women,
Yes.
but maybe it was because you'd gone on so much about them being manly men in the Red Arrows in the first place. 3 exclamation marks, Joe.
Oh, Joe. Joe's got a point, I'll be fair with you. I was basing it all on John Culshaw's apartment decoration of the Red Arrows, where they were all male.
That's right.
I mean, had there been a female on that would have put it in my mind. But you're quite right. I do think of them as, yes, I was a hypocrite. Joe, you're right.
But it's also that, you know, forgive me for this, Frank, and I put myself in the same bit of the Venn diagram here, but neither of us are as alpha as a manly Red Arrow. So
No.
I think
Well, I'll drink to that.
when
I don't
looking
think
at-
I'm as alpha as a female Red Arrow. I imagine that's
I
going to
think,
be...
in fact, I'm the most alpha person in this room.
I think that
Possibly,
probably
yeah.
is true.
I mean, I think I would look at a photo of the Red Arrows all standing up, and the song Macho Macho Man would just be playing constantly in
Look,
my head.
Oh, you
But can
love
I-
that one, Al.
Brackets and woman.
But can I be... If I'm going to be completely honest, which I do like to be...
Yeah,
whenever,
you do, don't you?
Sorry.
that when
Feeling myself.
I mean, I've
with
got a
vomit.
sense of worry.
When
but-
I was at the Coleshaw flat and I saw the portrait of the Red Arrows, I started left to right, and I think I got through about 3 of them before I got a bit fed up. Because, you know, at the end of the
Right.
day, although I respect the Red Arrows as an aerobatics team,
Yeah.
I don't need to know them individually.
Was it
I
signed?
mean, I think the RAF have established they're all replaceable. They get a year and then they're gone.
Very replaceable.
Was it signed?
It was signed. yeah.
Lovely.
Wow.
In red, white and blue.
That's
Wow.
nice.
No, not really.
Now, we've had some people, I appreciate it's been quite Red Arrows heavy this morning.
It has a little...
I think that no one's answered my "Have you ever been surprised by the Red
Well,
Arrows?"
well, guess
texting.
again.
Oh.
Guess again.
Actually, they have, Frank. Alan, over to you.
I mean, I thought we'd already explored some quite niche text-ins on this show, but have you ever been surprised by the Red Arrows is up there. 587, Tom in Mansfield. We were surprised by the Red Arrows, Frank. Following our wedding in Derbyshire, we went outside for the photos, and just as we lined up, the Red Arrows flew right through the valley.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Wow.
Everyone wondered how I'd persuaded them to do that.
Yeah, did they get them on the photos though?
Oh,
That imagine that for a wedding photo.
Yeah.
You
That
and
would
the
be great.
bride and the Red Arrow.
and
I
just
mean,
Red
come
Arrows.
on.
just the chemtrails flying behind.
Oh, that is
Beautiful.
brilliant. If they could have had just married and maybe some tin cans off the back of the plane.
Lovely.
And then
don't know if they do that.
KT351, another surprise by the Red Arrows. I mean,
Yeah.
they just keep them coming. I live and work in Lincolnshire, where the Red Arrows are based.
That's where they're based.
I often witness them.
No. Wow.
I often witness them. Good use of witness. I often witness them practising their acrobatics. I like that. It sounded slightly snidey. I often witness
I
them
wonder
practising.
how they do that. Does one of them go up and then two? Do they start off in a very loose formation and get closer?
I think one goes up and two fly underneath with a big net. Just
Well,
Yeah, just in-
Frank,
just
they've
in
got
case.
all the. They can communicate with each other.
But how
as
do you
well.
begin? You can't just line up the planes in a V
Yeah.
formation on the tarmac and take off like that and you're off. There's got to be a way of gradually...
Does one of them? Do they talk to each other and say, "I'm going to do a Z formation now"?
They say stuff like, "Move over! Get over!" They do that a lot.
No,
I
they're
imagine
calm. They're as calm as that pilot
Definitely.
who landed the plane on the Hudson.
But
Oh,
even so,
love him.
how do you start with the Red Arrow? Remember, they're all new. They're new every year.
What do you say,
Nobody
how do
knows
you
how
start?
they can't all be new on the same day.
to do. Said they change them.
Surely they change them one at a time.
How do you
I
think?
just on stage to the producer, how long have we done on the Red Arrows this morning?
No, but
I reckon it's 34 minutes.
It's an interesting question, I think.
Let's hope so.
How
It's 34 minutes, Frank.
how you start as a Red Arrow? I wonder if they have like sponge on the tips of the wings to start off with.
Right.
In case yeah.
Well, we've had,
You think it's like bowling?
guess what, guys? This
Yeah,
news.
exactly. Yeah.
This news just in, guys, from David in Turkey. Hi, Frank. Listening to you and Antalya in Turkey yesterday while wandering around, we had an impromptu display from the Turkish Red Arrows.
Oh, so that red and white they must go.
They were red and white.
Yeah,
Six
red,
of them.
No blue. Well, I didn't know there was a Turkish Red Arrows.
Yeah.
Oh, how come their faces don't blow off at that speed?
Skinner, Dean, and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
Yes, so I do think that my Red Arrows crashing dream was a what do they call it? Stress dream, not stress.
Anxiety.
Anxiety dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I have just started a live TV comedy show, and they don't do many. There's a reason they don't do live comedy on telly,
Yeah.
because when you say something and it gets nothing, it's a ugly and unsatisfactory and awkward thing.
It's one of the things that has changed over the years of television comedy, isn't it? Like
Everyone
if you look
gets
at
a lot.
old, is it Johnny Carson or whatever? And he used to just do jokes that didn't work and move on.
Well,
and
I
now they
believe-
just put on the ones that work all the time.
To be fair, I watched your show. Don't Ask Me, Ask Britain, I believe it's called.
It is called that.
And I would
Damn
like,
ab, I call it.
I would like to say you stormed it. And,
You are my keenest supporter, and I appreciate
That's
that.
nice.
well, I know. Well, I've called it because it's you and Jonathan Ross. I don't call it Don't Ask Me, Ask Britain. I call it My Address Book. So I call that show. So I have it there, but it's really good. I loved it, Frank.
Can I just say though, on the live comedy thing, I someone told me that Little and Large in their latter years did a comedy thing, and it was, I think, they weren't getting the writers they used to get, and so some of the gags weren't going as well. So what the sound men used to do is they would turn up the volume after the punchline to make the gag sound louder. And occasionally, they didn't get a laugh at all. So they'd do a joke, and you'd hear... So they'd say, yeah, well, I told him if he wants to do that, he should get his own. So the silence actually was louder. I mean, you don't want amplified silence after a joke.
But
Anyway.
you must have been happy with...
Well, I haven't been happy since September the 24th, 1986, but it was all right. But I did think it might be an interesting idea while it's on. It's only on for 6 weeks. It's every week on this show. We had the joke that I did that went worst as a feature.
Are you sure you want to do that?
Frank,
Well, I think it-
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love
can
this
I say,
idea.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
I feel like all my Christmases come at once.
I mean, some weeks there might be more choices than others. You might be spoilt for choice.
Can we... OK, I will agree to your demands.
Okay.
Sorry, Al.
I'd just like to play slight devil's advocate in a moment. You know, on Match of the Day when
God,
it's-
Dark as Hell hasn't been dead 2 weeks, and you're taking over the Devil's Advocate title.
You know,
Come
on
on,
Match of the
give
Day-
the
Now
bloke-
you know how Nick Hancock feels.
Yeah, give the bloke a bit of space. Now,
know
Paul
when-
Merton was after Nick Hancock.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You know, one of the frustrating
Showbiz.
things about when
Completely
they
forgot.
interview sports stars and they won't discuss the bad bits of the game, they go, oh, we just got to move on, we're just concentrating on the next game.
Yeah.
They totally delete the bad bits. You want to do kind of the negative image of that, the total reverse, and you want us to interview you about the
Well, I
worst
thought you
bits.
to interview
No,
me.
what he wants to do... You know Frank likes to sift through the innards.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Okay, let's do it.
I think it fits in with the no praise policy on this show. So I
I'm
don't,
sure it does.
The
Bring it
condition,
on.
I do love it when you incorporate an inappropriate jingle into the forensic analysis.
Oh,
So
well,
that would be
I'll see if I can do that.
a small request there.
Well, I mean, we need a sort of a worst joke.
Yeah, so
type,
this is... We'll have a think. So this is Don't Ask Me, Ask Britain. And Frank...
Let's see if this will work. Don't. That would do it, wouldn't it?
I'm with you.
Okay, we'll come back with the worst joke I did on Don't Ask Me, Ask Britain last Tuesday.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So you trailed before that track. You trailed...
I did, sorry about that.
Yeah.
But I've gone and got some Dettol and a J cloth. And it's absolutely fine. I mean, I'm 60, what do you expect?
Exactly.
Still,
this.
at least, it'll help me when I wander off. You'll be glad of those trails.
You trailed the gag that didn't work on
Well,
Don't Ask
I
Me,
think
Ask Britain.
there'll
In
always
your
be more than
opinion.
one. I think it might be an interesting feature. It's just I'm mooting it. That's all
Yeah.
I'm doing. I'm just mooting.
Love a moot.
Yeah, mootiful. I'm just suggesting that my least successful joke of the week might be something that might be an interesting feature.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got a jingle.
And yeah, I've got a jingle sorted. With a little adaptation. That's worked fine, I think.
Okay.
So my personal nomination for this week was...
Before you begin this, as your therapist, I would just like to say, rather than thinking of these as, in inverted commas, bad jokes, I'd like you to think of them as underappreciated jokes.
Yes.
Possibly.
I'll tell you what,
Deserving of better, maybe.
let's call this feature, and some of them did fall on stony ground.
bit wordy, but yeah.
Yes, so I think this week it was someone mentioned Kim Jong-un, and I said, yes, Kim Jong-un, he's my favourite goth. It got absolutely nothing. I mean, nothing. And people didn't move on immediately. There was a moment where I could hear people thinking about it and then rejecting it. They didn't even reject it as a knee-jerk. They just went, no, it's not good enough. And they moved on. I accept that.
Well, I was at home.
And you absolutely split your sides at the My Favourite Goth.
Well, I thought it was funny.
Did you?
I did. And he's one of my favourites.
Typical of you to fly in the face of public opinion.
I didn't think it got what it deserved. But of course I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, and they're not laughing at this.
No.
And I was... But then you got so many other laughs throughout the night.
I know,
Come
but
on.
we're not here to talk about
I know,
the laughs.
okay. Well, Daisy and I, the producer, had a constant WhatsApp exchange of events as they happened while the show was going on. And that we were a bit nervous.
Well, I was a little bit. I mean, let's face it.
Live TV, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed.
And at one point...
It's career threatening.
Well,
That's
I
the way of
texted
looking at
Daisy.
it.
I'm going to be honest, I'm going to share our text.
Oh, okay.
I said, thank God this is good. It makes my life easier on so many levels.
Yes, well, knowing me and Jonathan. Yes, it would have been...
So what do you think of that joke, Al?
It's all right.
Wears black all the time.
He does wear black
Got
all
the
the time.
shaved sides. Looks like he dyes his hair, but it probably doesn't.
Yeah.
Because he's North Korean.
True enough. Yeah.
They got a
Well,
bit of
just
they just got a bit of the goth in them. There's no getting around it.
Can you say this?
I think you can say that.
I think
I
so,
regard goth as a high compliment. I'm thinking
you?
of going to the Whitby weekend.
Imagine if Kim Jong-un went to the Whitby weekend.
Oh, wouldn't that be
I mean, that
brilliant?
would be a news story, wouldn't it?
But is there something, to return to the scene of the crime,
Yeah.
is there something nice about the fact that it's live TV and you just move on really quickly?
Well, there's nothing nice about after a joke.
And also, I don't know if it's escaped your notice, but he has not moved on really quickly.
No, I haven't moved on.
Here we
at
are
all.
discussing
Yes,
it on
you're
a
right.
Saturday morning.
And
No.
for the next 6 weeks, apparently.
Possibly.
What I
So
like
proceed.
is there's people all over the world worried about Kim Jong-un, but I'm the only person who's worrying about him on this basis. I bet they've got a good aerobatics team, the North Koreans.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
I bet they've got like 60 of them. And if they
Probably.
have a crash, is he bothered? Get another 60.
Yeah, just
That's how he
drag out the
works.
next one.
That's how he works. It's about a team.
Yeah. Oh,
Anyway,
think-
so I think that. And if you've got any other offers, I'm happy to take them.
I didn't see the
Okay.
show, but I might just say that maybe people weren't sure that you meant just that Kim Jong-un was a goth, that there was something else coming next, like...
Yeah, but I find when you do a joke and people think there might be something else coming next, that's not a good sign.
Or they might have been running through who their favourite goth was.
Yeah, this is very
Yeah.
good of you.
You're
Really.
so kind
I'm on a
now.
little wondering
Yeah.
list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone at home's thinking, I'd have thought Robert Smith and
Yeah.
Tim Burton. No, it was a joke. Oh, too late. The moment's gone now. Who's your favourite goth? 8, 12, 15. Okay, that's another text in on the one.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, we've had a tweet from Kenny Dowling.
I was going to say Kenny Dalglish for a second.
No. I just want to take us... I want to provide us with a little ramp out of
Okay, fair
worst
enough.
joke of the week.
Okay.
I don't think we should call it. That's too extreme. What are we calling it again now? Joke that doesn't
And
work.
some of them may fall.
And some of them may fall.
On stony ground.
Yeah, some of them
Just
may
call
fall.
it stony ground.
Stony
We'll call
Ground,
it-
exactly.
Yeah.
This is a ramp out of Stony Ground. That's the
Okay.
sequel to Broadchurch, I believe.
Yeah.
Tim Dowling.
Yeah, Tim Dowling has Kenny Dowling had said, listening to the Frank on the Radio podcast, so this is a preview one we did earlier, and I got Divine Miss M, that's me on Twitter, deal with it, Divine Miss M's Zapruder film reference, and Frank didn't. Hashtag feel clever, hashtag that never happens, hashtag Google it.
Oh, I didn't get that.
I didn't. I mean, what in the wide, wide world of sport is Zapruder.
Zapruder film. So the Zapruder film was I want to keep things light.
Yeah.
But it was the name of the person who took the footage from the grassy knoll.
Oh,
The Kennedy assassination.
Okay. Well, you were right to put that in the same section as my Kim Jong-un joke.
And now
Which
I'm
is another
absolutely
public
furious
figure
that I didn't get
I'd
that.
being
keep all our
blown away.
politics together.
Yes.
I thought that was a nice
Yes.
place for it.
Well, I think Jamelia did crawl over my bonnet after that joke. But that's a private thing.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text our show. Many have on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website, if you will.
Well, we've had some texts in, Frank, because you were returning to the scene of your... I don't want to call it a failed gag. But
It's
it
all
was-
right. I can call
You
it
didn't
that.
think it went very well, a gag you did on Don't
It fell
Ask
on
Me I'll
stony
Spit.
ground.
Yeah, we were calling the section Stony Ground. It's a regular section every week.
Well, for the next 5 weeks, anyway.
And the gag involved the mention of Kim Jong-un and a reference to him being a goth. 490
My favourite goth.
texted in. Your favourite goth, I do apologise. An honest observation on Gothgate.
That's the title of
Yeah.
it. I
Subject
like
line.
that.
Okay.
Already 490, I like your work.
That does sound like Jonathan Swift, that Tale of a Tub and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Would
Brilliant.
you like to hear the honest observation?
Yeah.
I don't think you're ready for this, Jelly.
No, I'm all right for an on-ob.
I think it got lost in the general noise of the show. I had to rewind to hear it and laughed all by myself. Parenthesis, late review.
That is lovely. What's the name of
is
that
lovely.
person?
490.
Thank you, 490.
Make them feel really personalised.
Exactly. That's me reaching out.
Yeah.
No, that's nice. Thank you very
That
much.
can definitely happen. I sometimes worry that when I'm on panel games, the things I say get lost in the general noise of the show. So I think it's a thing.
Yes.
You know,
Really?
'cause I'm an
What, the
introvert.
melee thing?
Hashtag introvert. I find it physically difficult to interrupt people to crowbar my jokes in.
And I suppose, Al, if it's a live show, it's not like you can say it again and think, oh, they'll lose the other one.
You
at the
never
edit.
That's
want to say
right.
it again, though. Whenever people do that.
Never go back.
When you
Not
see, you
even
do
the
a
following
joke,
Saturday.
it doesn't get a laugh, and you think maybe they didn't hear it, then you do it again,
Yeah.
and it gets something less than silence. You can
Yeah.
have silence minus.
Yeah. Tutting, you really don't
That
want.
would be a good
That's-
autobiography, something less than silence.
Yes,
The blank blank story, fill in the blank blank there.
yes.
So you think that would be a good
Something less
autobiography?
than silence. My panel game career by Alan Cochrane. A heartbreaking memoir.
You're very good on panel
I think you
games,
say
actually.
heartbreaking, but comedians would be buying it for quite the opposite reason.
Yeah. We've also got 685 texting. The Cult's Ian Astbury was my favourite goth until he morphed into Bon Jovi.
Oh, yes.
Cornelius in Dundee. Did he actually?
I don't think he literally morphed into
Oh,
him.
okay.
I
Well,
missed
I dated someone from the cult.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
From the cult or a cult?
From the cult when I was younger.
Oh, do you want to name... You don't have to. It's okay, you don't have
Okay.
to.
I was only pausing because I'd forgotten his name. He was called Billy Duffy.
Oh, Billy Duffy from
Played the
the
guitar,
cult.
yeah.
These we have loved,
Yeah.
ladies and
Well,
gentlemen.
let's not stretch it too far.
Okay.
Favourite goth, though?
He was very nice, though.
Favourite goth?
No, he's not that. Oh, my favourite goth is Susie Sue.
Oh, yeah, she's a very good...
You okay with that one?
I'm happy with that. You can't really argue with that. I mean, she was a goth before... You know, I think she thought was a punk, but when you look back on her, you think, oh,
Right.
she's got the goth genes, if you know what I mean. I don't mean those very tight black ones. I mean, she's sort of
What about
inherently
Marilyn
goth.
Manson,
All right,
Frank?
you mean jeans with a...
Yeah, I mean, to these people, you know, we don't want to blur this too much.
No,
here.
don't want to start putting emos in there or punks,
No,
as you say.
exactly.
Exactly.
But I'm here. I'm still happy to hear other people.
I like
so.
your civilian goth. I like it when, you know, you're doing your parents' evening or something and a teacher walks past and you go, goth teacher.
Yeah.
Al, you're so right. I like a goth in an unexpected environment.
Well,
Dole
I mean,
So I like a
Dole
goth
office.
ser-
Dole office goth.
what
That
you
sort
need
of
to
thing.
do
goth
is
serving you in a shop. Hello.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
what you need to do is to drive to more small English villages where there is
definitely.
always there's often two goths. One becomes a goth, and the other kid with no mates thinks, you know what? I know how to bond here. And they sit in the cemetery drinking cider. I always love those. Thank God they exist. Because the countryside without them, what would it be?
Yeah.
8, 12, 15.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So in
yes.
general, would you say the experience was a pleasurable one on your new show?
Yes, in general, but I think it's always important to remember one's failures.
Oh, is it?
I think so. I think that's how we construct the rope ladder to greatness.
I think we need to send a group email to all sports stars then, because they don't do that. They're actually coached to do the opposite of that.
Well, maybe I'm doing it wrong, dwelling on, the one. Well, it wasn't just one, but I mean that one in particular. But I think that's what. Don't you do that with anything? If you have a date, say on a first date, it might go really well, but you always think about that. Maybe I shouldn't have brought up the S&M community, that kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, but not on the first. I'm thinking 4. Do you think 4? 4 will be about right.
Yeah, feels good.
Yeah. But anyway, have we heard anything else from?
Yeah, Bob in Sheffield. Hi, Bob in Sheffield. Hi,
Yeah.
Sheffield.
I knew
Frank.
this would happen, by the way. I knew this
I
would
know.
happen.
Susie Sue is not a goth. Banshees fans and punks are like a gathering of posse as we speak. Not me, though.
I
I'm
did
at work.
say
know.
I did point this out. This distinction. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
but we're
gets
going to
tribal.
get into a whole goth... I don't want to get into a whole goth can of worms here.
Well, they might, but...
Okay. Well, I just would like to apologise. I thought... I'm not saying she was actually a goth, but I thought her look... I'm talking about the aesthetics.
I think she had a bit
rather
of
than
inherent
movement.
goth.
Yeah.
I honestly, seriously regard goth as a high compliment because it suggests someone who's a bit thoughtful, it's one of the few teenage subcultures that aren't associated with violence.
I agree with that.
And they read books.
I meant it as a compliment, Bob in Sheffield.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
come on, relax.
Come on, relax.
Don't threaten us with the whole cutlery tradition. Hate it when that happens. So, yes, it's tricky, and we won't do the goth. I mean, Bros, would you regard those as a goth band?
No, I would regard them as a pop band.
Chris Eubank told me.
Strong word.
Matt Goth. Anyway,
That's brilliant.
Strong word.
I mean, that could be in a little section called These We Have Loved.
that's called The
There
Goth
we go.
Joke That Worked. That could be called. Which sounds like a children's book. Can you imagine if you were in, let's
A
say,
little
Dawn...
goth joke that could. Frank.
Dawn books looking at the children's section and you saw one called The Goth Joke That Worked, wouldn't you think, I'm getting this because...
Oh, I would
May I
so
say that
get
I
it.
think the Stony Ground section of the show could also include
Ground.
a section where you then come up with a different joke on the same topic.
Oh,
and
I
it
don't know,
works.
you're making it some sort of a challenge.
Risen from the ashes or something
I'm
like
not Annika Rice.
What?
I didn't mean to expose that on air. I think it's nice to leave a bit of the ambiguity with the "Am I Annika Rice" thing.
How
I've
come
always
all my
wondered.
pay slips say the Annika Rice radio show? What's happened here?
Oh no!
Payslip.
I like the fact we get pay slips.
Who are you employed by? George Graham?
That'll do well on Absolute
brown
80s,
envelope.
won't it? The pay slip bit.
I'll tell you what I did. I went to the Rose Theatre in Kingston upon Thames the other
Oh,
night.
nice.
To see, can I say, if you can get out there, there's a fantastic play on there called Junkyard.
Did you
Anyway.
say it's a groundling on a cushion, or is it one of those... You can go on
No,
the
it's
floor,
a stand.
can't
It's a
you?
stand. Can you go on the floor?
Go on the floor there, yeah.
No, not on this night. You couldn't.
Oh, okay, well, you can.
You've obviously got mixed up. I'm a bit embarrassed on your behalf.
I've played it.
Have you?
I mean,
Several
worse
times.
things have happened. Live.
Yes, you're quite right.
Got
Anyway,
you back, Al.
there was a drinks reception on the upper floor. I was told I'd already been to it once, so I went up there and it was
That sounds very ambassador's reception.
chatted to people. Yeah, so I went back to the drinks reception in the interval. Opened the door and it was completely the wrong room. You know I have problems with.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a group of teenagers sitting in a room with a man at the front. And he turned to me, he said, this is a Heart of Darkness workshop. And I thought maybe they were discussing my favourite goth. joke gathered together.
But Frank, can we say that if anyone ever walks into this studio by mistake?
Sorry, this is our Heart of Darkness workshop.
That's just what I'm going to say to anyone who ever walks into this room again.
I'm going to say
that from now on.
yes, Paul. Anyway, so I walked in, and a lot of young people, mainly teenage girls, looked at me and started giggling. I don't think they knew who I was. They just thought an old man in a young person's environment. Always funny.
Seems an extreme reaction. Laughter.
And what it was that sort of, you know, that sound that you stop making when you get to about 25. That. There was a lot of.
No, it's because you're on the telly and they recognise you.
I don't think they did recognise me.
You don't just laugh at people because they're born before the age of 1995.
A man on the
young do.
A man on the train the other
Weirdos.
day. A man on the train said, I was going to ask you for a selfie, but then I realised my kids wouldn't know who you were. Why bring that up?
All of which could have gone unsaid.
All of which.
He could have ran through that whole dialogue just on his own.
Stop living your life through your kids. You were a person beforehand.
Totally.
What if you wanted a nice picture of
Good
Frank?
shout.
Clearly he didn't.
Good shout, Emily. Good shout.
I took that as inferred. Obviously, I don't want one. I was going to get home and say, look at that, and then just say an old bloke, and that would be that. It's not that big a novelty. Anyway, I've got the tiny face, which tells me I'm talking for too much.
I'm going to have to say, I'm going to trail with. There's a very good Goths text.
Okay, we'll be back.
I'd like to know how the workshop went.
Well, we're going to get. I'm going back. I'm going back. I actually did go back, but I'll explain that in a minute.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
048 has been in touch. Re-Goths. Morning, team. Sadly, I believe Goths, much like the name Barry, are dying out. I press you to find a Goth born after 1992. Long-term reader, first-time writer, praise redacted. Well, I would like to hear from any Goths born after 1992, just as proof.
Well, they won't be up, yeah.
Well,
And
they
also,
might be.
It's a
creatures
pernickety point, but I think the name Gary is the one that's dying out, not Barry.
Not Barry.
I think Barry's
Yeah.
fine. I think it's thriving,
they'll
in
be.
fact.
If they're up, they'll be in the cemetery of Little Middington in
Yes.
Leicestershire.
And in fact, we've had an email titled Favourite Goth that I think probably is going to win our beautiful text email today.
Beautiful text email.
It's wonderfully put together, unlike my sentences. Listen to this.
Anagram that you can send in. What did that mean? At 12:15.
Well, listen to this.
Beautiful text email.
Let's see what you think, Frank.
It sounds like a Japanese translation.
The English countryside without a Goth is like a wide expanse of sea without a little boat on it. Beautiful, but missing a certain poignancy. My favourite Goth is a guy who used to frequent the same rock pubs as I did. He must have been close to 7 feet tall and still insisted on wearing enormously soled boots. It was like meeting Darth Vader.
Oh, the big thick here. Yes, they
Isn't
love
that
they love a
great?
thick soul, the Goths.
I was reading Yvette Fielding was. There's a new series of Most Haunted coming.
I didn't actually.
She did. Yeah, we mentioned it.
Oh,
On,
yes, you did.
On
I
the
do
TV
apologise,
show.
yeah.
Thanks,
Okay, then.
thanks for paying attention. Anyway,
Welcome
she,
to my life.
one of the things obviously when she's plugging a series, she has to tell quite a lot of lies. So she says they asked her if she saw a ghost, and she said, "Yes, I saw a 7-foot bald man."
Oh.
Yeah.
During the series.
Yeah.
I thought, was he standing very adjacent to a zebra crossing and wearing a sort of hooped top? Anyway, what else?
Well, you were
yes, Heart and Dart.
You were going to tell us because
you were in the middle of a workshop.
You left us on
I believe.
tenterhooks.
I'm in a workshop with some teenagers.
You basically walked into a room and they said, "Sorry, this is the Heart of
Yes,
Darkness."
I went in the
workshop."
wrong room, and a man said, "This is Heart of Darkness workshop." I should say, in case you don't know, Heart of Darkness was a novella, we'll call it, by Joseph Conrad. The film Apocalypse Now was based on it, and I said, "Oh," and there was a lot of, and I said, "It's a really good book." Bit pathetic. And then I went out, and then I
How
thought,
many people in there, Frank?
oh, I would say 30.
What? Oh.
That's how I remember it. Anyway.
I'm just glad that it was about the book, that you hadn't walked in and there's just a cadaver and a bloke wearing big rubber gloves saying, "This is the Heart of Darkness
Yeah.
workshop."
Well,
This guy was
Or
really
a very,
evil.
very obese man in the corner.
Yeah, saying the horror. I actually mentioned the horror, I think, and then I thought, I'll tell you what I
you
did.
didn't.
I'll tell you what I did.
Spoilers.
I said I'll come back at the horror bit, and then I thought, actually, I'm not sure he says that in the book.
And also, they
Now-
might not have got to that bit in the book.
Oh, I did spoilers at the Heart of
Yeah.
Darkness workshop. It doesn't get any lower than that. Anyway, as I then left the room, I thought to myself, now they think, if it's just in the film, they're going to think I've seen the film and I'm pretending to have seen the book, which I read about in the paper this week. It's happening a lot now. A lot of people claim they've read Lord of the Rings, and in fact, they've just seen the films. It's become a new thing in the non-reading
Well,
age.
people do that with the Great Gatsby as well. And I mean, the original, a bit like the Gruffalo. It's
God,
about
you
80
can read
pages.
The Great Gatsby in 2 days.
That's what I mean. It's like Gruffalo.
Anyway, so, well, you can read that a bit
About
quicker.
20 minutes.
Anyway,
I'm a speed reader.
So this is what I did. I went back in to the room. I'd left. I went back into the Heart of Darkness
Why
workshop.
did you go back
It's
in?
pathetic.
Yeah, but they've told you you're in the wrong room.
I know. I went back in.
Leave it, Frank.
And
Just
I-
leave
Let's
it.
find out what
And
he
I
did. I'm interested.
said, I love that bit where he comes back from Africa and he walks around thinking of all the people in the street, they don't know what life's about. He's the only one who really understands. And that's only in the book. And I did that. I went in and I did that. I realised, not when I'd done it, but after I'd done it. I went in that purely to prove to one man and a bunch of teenage girls that I'd actually read the book. Now, how pathetic is that? 12:15.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
What are we going to talk about now?
What do you want?
Oh, it was like...
Well,
it all went a bit don't ask me, ask Britain, super silence.
I tell you what we need to talk about this morning. I'm almost tempted to call him a friend of the show, but I don't know how you two will feel about that. He's a prince.
Kim Jong-un.
No, it's Prince Andrew.
Not anymore. Oh, Prince Andrew.
Yeah, because do you want to tell the readers what we do with Prince Andrew?
Well, there's something about Prince Andrew. He's been involved in a few minor scandals and suspicions. So, for some reason,
lovable rogue.
whenever he appears on the telly, I always say, "Here he is, here he comes." I don't know why. It's from, I think, Watson and Oliver, their sketch show.
Oh, is it?
But it was in a completely different context. I don't know why it fits him, but
He's
it's
a
sort
bit
of...
of a
Here
lover.
he comes.
Here he is, the old rogue.
I think it's also how they greet each other in The Sopranos.
Oh, is it?
Whenever anybody walks in, they all go, here he
Well,
is.
that's more apt. Because
Yeah,
I
maybe.
think there's something there's a bit... If I can say this, there's something slightly gangster, sort of. He's a bit G.
Do you think he's a bit G?
I think Prince Andrew's a bit G.
You sure you don't
Yeah.
mean P for Prince? He's a bit P.
He's got a sort of Mr. Big, sort of,
Well, he has.
in so many
although-
ways.
I mean, we'll get on
Prince.
to...
Can you have a Prince Big?
They say opposites
That's what
attract.
I call him, Prince Big.
They say opposites
From
attract.
now on.
So Mr. Big is with Mrs.
Not
Small.
Millie Small, who sang My Boy
No.
Lollipop.
No, but try more pint-sized pop princess.
Sid Little,
Sid Little, Little by Little, autobiography.
Claire Short, former Labour MP. Tidy Temper,
I've forgotten all about
Titty
Claire
Strider.
Short.
Toxvig. He's with Kylie Minogue.
Now that...
I mean, is this true? Come on.
How can that possibly be?
It's the strangest coupling since Darius Dinesh and Daisy Lowe.
Well, I think it's stranger than that.
Really?
I think
Forgotten
it's
about that
stranger than Pamela Anderson and
Julian Assange.
Julian Assange. I
And
think
that takes some outstranging, doesn't it?
it
'Cause that's a
really,
strange
really
coupling.
does. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's true, but please let it be.
Yeah.
Because it's
Well, it seems
extraordinary.
to be well documented.
He's smitten, apparently.
100% smitten. Which,
I love the idea of being smitten with Kylie Minogue. I mean, talk about late review.
Who isn't?
That happened in the 80s, didn't it?
But also, I love the return to real percentages. That's how you can tell that he's a prince. Because if he was a footballer or pop star, it'd be 110%.
Oh,
or
yeah. Well,
130%.
maybe he's not that keen at the moment.
That's exactly the worry, isn't it?
Because the biggest ever crush evidence I saw, if we go to English footballers and Australian soap stars, was when Matt Le Tissier of Southampton dated Marilyn from, is that Neighbours or Home and Away?
That was Home and Away. And I believe she played Emily in Home and Away.
Yes, and he was so in love that she went back to Australia, and he flew as far as, what's the capital of Malaysia?
Kuala Lumpur?
He flew to Kuala Lumpur just to keep her company, and then he flew back on his own.
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
And then they split up, and she went out with the W.H. Smith heir.
Did she really?
Yeah. Oh, that was a great did she?
That was a good did she?
I felt like I was with the girls there, having a gossip. Did she?
W.H. Smith, one of the great initialed names. Initial names have disappeared now.
That's right.
So the thing about Andrew
C.R.
and
Smith,
Kylie...
of course, were Pence, weren't they?
I'll tell you what I wouldn't mind going for as a text-in. Most famous single initial names. We'll go T-Rex.
Single initial, not allowed two then? No J.R. Hartley?
No, I think single. I'll tell you my favourite. I'll just put my favourite in.
J. Giles Band? I'm going to go J. Giles.
J. Giles Band, very good.
No longer with us?
H from Steps.
No, he's got to have a surname. I've got a good H one. What about this one? H. Samuel.
Oh,
very good. Come on. Top that.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We should say we've been talking a lot about goth this morning, and it is Whitby Goth Weekend. So I just
It's actually this weekend, is
I believe so. I'd like to send all my best wishes and support to all the goths out
there. Do you know why the Goth Weekend is in Whitby?
No.
Because in Bram Stoker's book, that's where the ship lands with Dracula.
Lovely intel.
I think it's Dracula.
This is actually a Heart of Darkness workshop, though, so...
oh, yeah, sorry, I'm in the wrong room again.
Always with the wrong room. So what were we talking about?
Well, actually...
Do you remember our other art? This is our second Heart of Darkness reference. Do you remember I couldn't remember the name of the main character? And I wouldn't let you tell me, and I spent 2 days and then woke up in the middle of the night. Kurtz.
And texted me
at
3 a.m.
3 a.m. saying, yeah, I've got it.
It was just one... Yeah, thank God there were no spelling mistakes in that text.
Yes.
I mean, we've got several text-in plates spinning today, not just any goths born after 1991. We've also now got single initial names, haven't we?
Yes.
TK Maxx, somebody has texted.
Is that a single initial?
No, but I like it.
I'll tell you something interesting about TK Maxx.
Do.
In America, it's TJ Maxx.
Oh, you know Gary Oldman's sisters on EastEnders.
But do you know why, don't you?
Zing!
Do you know why they changed it?
No.
Because they assumed that if they brought it over to UK with TJ Maxx, that people would think it was just Tom Jones's old raincoats for sale.
Oh, God.
Sorry, but once you'd pulled me up on the Gary Oldman, I had to come up with an ending. That's the thing is with a comedian, you have to come up with an ending of some kind.
Yeah.
Well, John Barrowman goes to TK Maxx.
Does he?
Yeah, I was talking to him once. He was going through his whole wardrobe. He was saying how he mixes and matches designer and, TK Maxx.
Oh, nice.
He went Armani, Dolce & Gabbana, TK Maxx. How it works.
I love John Barrowman.
So do I.
Frank, you're right to be pleased with H. Samuel. It does have a ring to it.
Oh.
Trayvon.
Come on.
Jacko in Essex, reader 384.
One of the great staged deaths of all time.
Oh.
Wow.
That's a shame.
What if he was in Essex, though? Working as a Michael Jackson lookalike?
He's not in Essex. 646. L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard is very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Mr. T from Ski and Wordsley?
By the way, I'm just to the producer. Can you not just take me saying L. Ron Hubbard? That's very good, and use that as the trailer. I don't want people to think I'm on cruise control.
Oh.
I mean...
Oh.
Okay.
Frank Skinner.
On Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Anyway, we were talking about Prince Andrew and the pint-sized
You
pop
were.
princess.
Oh, we all were.
No, we all were, I know.
We did all.
Now, the other thing I like about Prince Andrew is he's a hair...
Hold on, what was the first thing you liked about him?
Well, I'll give you the two. The first is he's a hair product refusenik.
He is,
So,
he's
most
very
men,
fluffy.
you two have both got lovely hair, but it looks
I hate
slightly
mine.
styled. His is, it's feathery and fluffy. And you've talked in the past about those yellowing pictures in the barbers. He looks like one of those.
He does, actually. He could be...
favours a side part, doesn't he?
Without
What there
any
is.
product.
He could be, though, in the barber's portfolio of Pick Your Haircut.
He is.
Andrew could be in there. But you're right, he doesn't use product.
And he favours, I think, his off-duty. He's either suit or he's polo shirt with a chino. Microsoft invented chino.
And
Don't you
sometimes, if you look, you can see he's got a bit of crown hair. You know when you get crown hair from the ermine edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we all...
They think the ermine will prevent it, but they're heavy. They forget how heavy those crowns
I get
are.
flat cap hair.
Do you?
You know, different strokes for different folks, isn't it?
How can I put this? I don't think he's going to be troubled by crown head, if you know what I mean.
No, but I think he must wear...
I mean,
he
Skips
must
a
wear-
generation, I've heard. Skips a generation.
the thing is, and the problem is...
Prince Charles would kill for crown hair. I mean, maybe literally.
The thing is, Kylie is something of a fashion icon.
Is she?
I believe she's a Dolce & Gabbana ambassador.
Is she?
In a way, aren't we all?
A Dolce & Gabbana ambassador.
I think I'm more of a
does she
TK
take
Maxx ambassador.
Does she take Dolce & Gabbana to starving people in the third world?
Yeah.
What way? Can you be an ambassador for that?
You're asking me, but I am wearing a T-shirt today which says "Fashion Stole My Smile," which
Oh,
is
is
a
that?
Victoria Beckham T-shirt.
Oh, it's VB. I thought it was
Yeah.
D&G for a second.
That's
there.
not D&G. Stefano and Domenico.
Are you a Victoria Beckham ambassador?
I'd love to be.
Yeah. I'm a...
M&S.
yeah,
What would you be an ambassador for,
I'm
Frank?
a monsoon attaché. Actually.
So
I used to be a River Island minister without portfolio.
Skinner, Dean, and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
We're talking about Prince Andrew and Kylie Minogue this morning on Absolute Radio.
Yeah,
We
you
are.
heard, people.
It's true.
You heard. It's like hearing Alan de Botton is dating Katie Price or something like that, isn't it? It's just
Yeah.
a weird...
I can imagine that. That's got a bit
You
of...
can imagine
That's
that.
Arthur Miller and
Oh,
Marilyn
yeah.
Monroe type
True
thing.
enough.
Yeah.
True. Although I bet people talked about that at the time. I bet they went, have you heard?
I think people accept that if someone is attractive, it can break down a lot of barriers.
Yeah.
Well, they're inseparable, apparently.
Who's this?
Prince Andrew
Oh, I don't
and
want to
Kylie
think
Minogue.
about that.
He got in touch after she split up with her last boyfriend
This made me laugh.
to offer his
Come on.
condolences.
His condolences. What had she done? Killed him? Offer his
also-
the vultures circle,
I mean,
don't they?
Yeah,
As soon as they hear.
the condolences.
You can imagine.
It's not even
I
a
bet she
night's
picked
move,
up the
is
phone.
it?
She picked up the phone, saw P. Andrew come up on the screen, and I
Yeah.
bet she went, "Here he comes! Here he is!"
I mean,
Here
I
he
read
is.
that in the papers. He offered his condolences, and
I
I
know,
thought,
come on.
Dirty devil. He's total legend.
I just hope he treats her well.
Well,
Okay,
yeah.
because
It's,
he's been through a fair few.
has it?
I believe so.
Well, of course she is in many ways. Koo Stark too.
Is she?
Because he went out with Koo Stark in his early days. Do you know who Koo Stark is?
I don't know who starts.
She was a very, very pretty actress who was in.
A soft porno film.
I don't think we can't say that.
You say that?
I don't think we can say
The
that.
producer looks fine about it.
Okay, I'm
I was
horrified.
amused more than worried.
She was in films that were shown at proper cinemas,
Yeah.
but they had a saucy or element.
She's laughing.
sound
It's
great.
fine.
Oh, I remember her and Victor Spinetti on a carriage, which I didn't like at all. Well, I did like then, but looking back, wish I hadn't.
But the point is...
But he obviously had in his early days, he thought, what I'm doing, I'm a prince. I'm going to do like a Prince Rainier and get myself a Grace Kelly. He went for Coo Stark and the Queen said, I don't think so. And that was the end of that. Now, I don't know how she's going to respond. Put it this way, he's had the yellow sticky with Celebrity Girlfriend over his desk for a number of years. And he has finally got round to it.
You think that's crumpled in the wastebasket now?
I should think so. But the Queen, I don't think, has any idea of the television show Neighbours or even of the concept of Neighbours.
Very good.
I don't think she has. They don't have neighbours, do they?
Yeah.
No, she wouldn't know about
You
that.
never heard anyone say, oh, yeah, I live next door to the Queen, actually. What are you talking about?
When the Queen meets Kylie and she says, so what are you known for? And she goes, Neighbours, Mum. And she's going, come again?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm still not getting it. What is this concept you speak
And then
of?
she say, I should be so lucky. And she say, oh, that's what they all say. All the girlfriends.
But it's quite... You can't accuse her of having a type. I mean, Kylie.
No.
Because we've had
You
Jason
really can't.
Donovan,
Michael Hutchins, Prince Andrew, everybody talk about pop music, talk about...
Well, Lenny Kravitz.
Did she end up with Lenny
Yes,
Kravitz?
Lenny Kravitz to Prince Andrew. Come on.
I mean, they've both got,
They've
both got a back catalogue to be worthy of discussion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you seen Coo Stark recently? Still a beautiful woman, but she's gone for the long grey hair.
Okay.
Right.
You know when some women just think, no, I'm just going to let it go grey and leave it long?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many cats she's got. I'm guessing between 12 and 20. Often go together. But she still looks great.
She looks great.
But of course, he's upgraded.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I tell you what, I wonder what Angry Anderson makes of this.
Oh, now
You
there's a name.
Who's
Angry Anderson
Suddenly I'm seeing
brought
you.
out a song called Suddenly when Jason Donovan and Kylie Minogue got married in Neighbours, Scott and Charlene.
Yeah.
In fact, I often played a band on this show,
Joe
Scott and
Dolce
Charlene.
accent there, Scott and Charlene.
Oh, was it? And he brought out Suddenly, which is what wedding nights used to be like, of course.
Yeah.
He was bald.
So everything happened quite suddenly.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
You okay, Frank?
Well, it's true, isn't it? Wedding nights used to be like a really big thing because they used to be like,
Right, yeah.
and now people have lived together usually for ages, or if they haven't lived together, they've at least...
Well, it's quite sensible, Frank.
I know, but, spoilers.
I think the spoilers are quite healthy, though.
Do you?
Yeah, you can...
Oh, I like the idea of...
You can
I don't know what
change
you're getting
the...
into.
Anyway, we shouldn't get too far into wedding nights, but I should think Angry Anderson is now absolutely livid Anderson when he's sinner with Prince Andrew. Don't you
do you think he's going to have to rewrite all this stationery?
You can get some more printed. Do you think he's got money, Angry Anderson?
I don't know.
Yeah, because I always said that he was in the days when you made money, you could retire off one song.
But did he have other hits?
Well, you didn't need to have other
Angry.
hits back then, love. You just one was
Really?
enough, yeah.
What if he had anger management and now he just does chill-out music?
Maybe he runs an anger management company and he's called Anger Management Anderson.
AA.
I'd love to. If anyone out there knows what happened to Angry Anderson, I'd love to hear it. I know we could Google it, but I don't
Very
like...
strange
I don't-
textings
I
this
don't like-
morning.
There has been some.
Golf's
Not very
Angry
keen.
Anderson.
I mean, it
I
seems
tell
the
you
weird
what-
textings are never running out, doesn't it?
But she has basically been out with beautiful men, hasn't she, Kylie?
Yes, I'd say that's true.
A
she's
long
making
line,
an exception
and every
now.
one of them seems to have broken. Well, yeah,
you
maybe
meanie.
she's thought, they've all treated me badly in the end. There was that sort of Oliver somebody.
Oh, he wasn't nice to her, I don't think.
I
And,
think...
and it's such a surprise when a male model isn't nice to you.
No, exactly.
I mean,
I mean,
I think she maybe needs to venture into pastures new. It's not
well,
working
she's
out
certainly
with the...
done that.
Yeah, royalty.
Yeah.
But she's probably had enough of hearts broken, and she don't want to take that anymore. That's my verdict. I saw a picture of her in spectacles. Is that something she's been doing for a while?
She's advertising some spectacles. I don't
She
know if
is
you know that.
an ambassador.
You're kidding me.
She's an ambassador.
Oh, she's for someone else now.
Yeah. For
Specsavers?
I think it is Specsavers. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's an
That's why
ambassador.
she's going out with Prince Andrew. That's
Yes.
going to be the advert.
I think this may be one of those stories.
Shot of them together, her and it's should have gone to
I
Specsavers.
think that's it. I think that's what's happened.
With a male model, and they'll cut to a male model sitting looking at his watch outside a cafe, like
Yeah.
she's gone with
Get
the wrong-
David Gandy at the CAF.
Yes. She's advertising. What's happened to Kylie Minogue? She's got 1 minute. She's like
Yeah.
sexiest woman in the world.
Well,
hit
she's still
records.
sexy, but
I turn away. I look back. She's advertising glasses and going out with Prince Andrew.
Yeah, it is
Yes.
strange. It's a strange...
Have I been asleep for about 15 years? Like some sort of Rip Van Winkle. Oh, I've just got an itch. Bear with me.
I feel a bit sorry for the princes.
Why?
Because their uncle's going out with Kylie Minogue. It's a bit like,
Yeah.
oh, wow.
The boys,
Yeah, the boys. Like,
they don't
They've
know
got other fish
Kylie.
to fry now.
Do they even know who Kylie Minogue is?
they must.
Yeah, she
No.
always does these things at the palace.
Oh, is she one of those
Yeah, she's
palace turner-uppers? Duran Duran.
She's a palace turner-upper. The ones that something Daisy, producer, watches, likes them.
Yeah.
They get the, you know,
Who else?
Brian May.
Quo. It used to be Quo.
No,
well, we
no-
can't mention
oh.
them all because
Frank, what about when? Yeah, we can't mention them all, Frank.
No.
What about when Brian May got on the roof of Buckingham Palace and played a guitar? I mean, come on.
I know. Where were the police snipers?
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Now, there's a bit of news I'd like to raise this morning.
Okay.
We haven't mentioned him in a while on this show, which is a shame.
Prince Andrew again.
No,
Okay.
which is a shame because he's one of my favourites. Charles Bronson, fiend of the show.
fiend of the show.
Oh, Charles Bronson.
I mean, that could be a section on this show.
Yeah, fiend of the
Kim
show.
Jong-un.
Yeah,
I think you'll find he's now called Charles El Salvador.
that's correct.
that's right.
After Salvador Dali,
Of course.
I believe, because he's an
Well,
artist.
where does the L bit come from? Isn't it Charles El Salvador?
It is. But he thought it was a bit of a pun on El Salvador, and it is a reference to Salvador Dali.
He's not going to call himself El Salvador like H. Samuel.
No.
Okay.
No.
He thought he'd mix it up
O.
a bit.
Henry. There's a writer called O. Henry.
there?
I mean, not O. Henry. Yes. There's a hole in my bucket.
There's
Isn't the 50 Shades of Grey person an initialed person?
E.L.
Oh, two.
E.L. Nesbitt.
Is it Wisty?
No.
I want to say Wisty.
No,
E.L.
that's
James. Who's E.L. Wisty then?
that's Peter Cook's.
Oh, that's right.
P.D.
yeah.
James.
Anyway, these
We've had
are
an email.
multiple. I'm on a single.
No, well, he doesn't
We've had
allow
an email.
multiple.
Single initial.
Can I
In-
just tell you, we've had
Go
an
on.
email. P. Diddy, M. People, LL Cool J.
LL wrong.
No, but LL Cool J.
Why do you
they're-
say wrong?
'Cause of the
I mean,
J.
It's not wrong.
No.
No, they're saying J is the
not an
single.
initial.
You
is it?
Not LL.
imposed this weird rule about one initial.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what
It's not
LL
wrong.
Cool J? This is a Gary Oldman sister.
Yeah.
LL Cool J stands for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Are we all say it together? 1, 2, 3.
Ladies love Cool
Cool
James.
Lovely.
Okay. Would-
Anyway, back to Charles
bit of fun,
Bronson
wasn't
in
it?
the cell.
I think that's our first ever community rapper name reciting we've ever done on here.
Have we done much speaking in chorus? I don't know. It was like the
Very.
start of watching Antigone or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, what a lovely island that is.
Wrong room. I've told you it's Heart of Darkness workshop this morning. So, meanwhile, over in maximum security prison,
Can I just tell you on the subject of Salvador?
you want to leave Charles Bronson? Think
no,
about it.
I'll come back to Charles.
Okay.
I must have told you I went out with a woman once back in Birmingham who said to me that the only reason when we fell out, she said the only reason I ever went out with you is you look like James Woods in Salvador.
You do look a bit like James Woods.
Yeah.
People don't even remember him now, but she went for that reason, just
You do
because I
look
look
like him.
But is that a good reason for someone to go out with you?
I've had
No.
worse.
I mean, imagine if Prince Andrew said I've only go out with you because you look a bit like Danny Minogue. I'd be absolutely furious. She'd be more furious than Angry Anderson.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
Yeah, we were on Charles Bronson news, weren't we? Or have you got more El Salvador?
No, that was. I think I made my point.
You just stepped off to return. Basically, here's the news. Charles Bronson, who I think people would know as Britain's most famous violent prisoner.
Britain's most dangerous, I believe.
Most dangerous. And he is boycotting Colman's mustard because the brand shares a name with his fiance's ex-boyfriend. I mean, there's so many bits of that sentence that made me chuckle there.
He's not a fan of Chris Colman.
He's what?
Well, anyone to do with Colman he doesn't like.
Yeah, it seems a strange thing, though. I mean, I'm not sure he entirely understands the concept of the boycott, which I think you're supposed to do because you disagree with, like, the company's political movements or whatever it is that they do. And I don't think how's that going to affect them?
Yeah.
Also, I wonder if he realises that he may not have that much choice on what condiments he gets. He's in solitary confinement or jail.
Well, I think you're a bit out of date on that. I imagine there's a whole condiment selection.
No.
I don't think anyone's going to be forced to eat a brand that they don't want, are they?
What? So even...
I mean, what is this?
Charles Bronson might force them.
Even Britain's most violent offender can say, I'm not having that
I don't think,
mustard.
can I say, in defence of Charles Bronson, he's never killed anybody.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, when you say defence, what you mean is it's okay for us to talk about him.
No, I mean, it's okay to talk about him because he's a celebrity, I think it's fair to say. But I don't think you can call him the most violent when there's people in who have...
He's called Britain's most dangerous prisoner. That's what he's called.
Most dangerous.
Yeah, because he's
that's
constantly
dangerous.
getting into scrapes, Frank.
Yeah,
Scrapes.
I can understand that.
Scrapes. Like, who is he, Frank Spence? Oh, I've been in a scrape again.
He once covered himself in... Was it butter? He covered himself in margarine
I got a
because
tub
he was
of
planning...
margarine, Betty.
He was planning something and he didn't want to be
when
grabbed.
you say planning something,
Well, he was planning to go...
I don't want to know.
He's going to do something naked and buttered.
It was grappling.
Was it grappling?
Yeah, as in he wanted to attack someone, I think.
Yeah, you don't want to be fighting.
And
Yeah,
he
no,
put
it's-
the butter on himself so that he couldn't be caught.
I mean, it's he's no fool.
My daughter once covered herself from head to foot in Vaseline in her bedroom whilst playing, and catching her to wash her was a real undertaking.
Yeah.
It was, that
Well, I
slippery
used to-
fish thing. It was like that.
I used to have a 9.5 pound carp.
Yes.
And when I took that from one room to another, it was the same problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You couldn't get any purchase.
Yeah.
Had it been a perch, it would have been different. But I couldn't get any purchase.
So he did some little drawings.
I love his art, by the way. I
Yeah.
think it looks good.
Sorry, it's not here. Yet.
I know. He's done some drawings. So the first one, there was a picture of a cartoon of a mouse that he's yelling at, saying, "You little vermin, don't you dare bring that in my cage again."
Yes.
The mouse has brought him,
The Colman's
Colman's
mustard.
mustard, of course,
Yeah.
yes.
and as we know, he is now eschewing the Colman's mustard in favour of French.
Yeah.
I seem to remember that the man who went out with the widow of Big Daddy wouldn't have brown sauce in the
Is that right?
house.
Daddy's sauce.
Thanks for helping me out. Well, where were you with my favourite goth? Yeah. And Prince Andrew, because of his jealousy of Jason Donovan, has stopped shopping at JD Sports, apparently. Yeah, it doesn't go. Where he gets his stuff from now, because one often sees him in sportswear.
Yeah.
What's his sport? They're often associated with sports,
Andrew?
the royal family.
Oh, golf, I reckon.
You reckon?
No, I've never seen him play golf.
Oh, the polo shirt and the Microsoft Inventor chinos. I told you.
Interestingly, considering all the Scottish connection, you never see the royals playing golf.
No.
No, he does. He's on golf courses doing business. Absolutely.
Charles used to play polo, didn't he?
Yeah.
He did. Yeah.
Pony and trap thing was Duke of Edinburgh.
Pony and trap thing.
Yeah, whatever you call that thing.
I think the boys are quite rugby oriented or
It's
football, aren't they? They
carriage
go along to
driving,
watch
isn't it?
sometimes.
Carriage driving, I believe it's called.
Carriage driving,
Is
a
it?
bit of that. Yeah, I think he didn't have Coustart and Victor Spinetti in the back. That's how they met. He arrived with
Well,
her.
Andrew was he was in Red Arrows, wasn't he?
He wasn't a Red Arrow.
No, but he was in
Goodness.
aviation.
He
Imagine
was a pilot.
He was a
squeezing him.
pilot.
Squeezing him into one of those little cockpits. I
was a
it'd be- it's
pilot.
big
I think that was
face.
the problem eventually. They said, we can't get you in here.
No, they'd
Was
actually...
he a Marine?
He'd be the only Red Arrow who had a convertible. So he'd get his enormous head in. Imagine that going back. All right, guys, everything's fine. Once the speed got up. I wish I'd gelled. My hair's all over the place.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We just had a text from 540.
Appears to be from Blondie, Hitler's dog.
We've just had a text from 540.
Congratulations.
A little bit Inspector Clouseau as well there on my second rendition. I'm going to have a third go at this. Third time lucky. We have just had a text from 540 that made me lol. We've been doing favourite goth texting.
Yeah.
My favourite goth is Darren Goff.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
Although, I will say this. I mean, if he were a goth in real life, imagine the torture, bless you.
2 sneezes of a morning.
2 sneezes on the same show.
One more to go.
If Darren Goff were a goth,
Yeah.
it would be a torment being a cricketer wearing white all that time.
That'd be terrible.
He must yearn for a long leather coat.
If you could get into the New Zealand one-day team, he'd be all right.
Would he?
Yeah.
They play in black.
But probably not Matrix-style black leather jacket.
Matrix. No. No, indeed.
So
It's a good job they got a new companion on Doctor Who, or Charles Bronson wouldn't be able to watch it because it was Charlotte Colman.
Oh.
No, not Charlotte Colman. Jenna Colman.
Jenna Colman, yeah.
God bless Charlotte Colman.
Yeah. But the thing is, he's in... Meanwhile, over in Wakefield Prison, Yorkshire,
Yes.
Charles Bronson has... I mean, the woman he's marrying is Paula Williamson. She was an ex-soap star, I believe.
Oh, yes.
And he already did his own composition of My Way,
Oh, yes.
which I think I sent to you, Frank,
Yeah.
in case you missed it.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. He changed the lyrics, didn't he?
Yeah, which I don't think is actually legal unless you...
No, so maybe we shouldn't...
Although the parody laws have changed somewhat.
He doesn't strike me as a man who's worried about law breaking, Frank.
No, nobody is above the law.
Do you think he's thinking, oh, God, copyright law, this is going to be an extra 3 days on this
Least of his
sentence?
worries.
What if he'd brought it out as a single, though? Then he would have been in trouble.
He's
If it was-
already in a bit of trouble.
Well, are we allowed to say what he changed the lyrics to, or will we get in trouble?
No,
if
then
we
we'll
say
get in
it?
trouble.
Oh, okay. Well,
Would
we better
we?
not say. I don't know if we will, but let's
I
be
don't
safe. Better safe than soz.
Anyway, the thing is with CB, they could play it on CB radio, and if he brought
He's
out his
very
own.
CB radio.
He's he got the girl. At the end of the day, he's the victor. To the victor goes the spoils. So I don't know why he's still angry. I know exes can be a looming figure in a relationship.
But he's been through a
Yeah.
few girls.
Has
This
he?
is the yes, he went.
And he doesn't want... He's had enough of Hearts Broken.
Well, I don't think he'll ever have enough of Hearts Broken. But there's a picture.
What about Arms Broken?
There's a picture of her with her previous fiancé.
Coleman.
Yeah, Colman.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's just call him Coleman.
And weirdly,
Yeah.
this is pre-Bronson. You know what I'm going to say? Have you
I
seen
know
this
exactly
photograph?
what you're going to say.
Can you tell me where the photo is taken, Al?
They're at the grave of Ronald and Reginald
I
Cray.
found that a bit...
And she's wearing a Cray's T-shirt.
It's almost like she's got a thing
Yeah.
for the underworld.
I think
In it.
having your photos was... I mean, as you know, I was recently at the grave of Colonel Sanders.
I let you have an exception, but I normally ban cameras in cemeteries.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's a little bit...
I mean, maybe that's...
Crass.
I don't know. It made me uneasy about it.
Oh, me
It is
too.
somebody's grave, after all.
So for Coleman, who's now no longer with her, I think he could move
No longer with
forward.
us, I thought he was going to say.
He's no longer with her. He could move forward thinking, well, perhaps I'm a goodie, and therefore she doesn't like me. She seems to be attracted to baddies. She was wearing the Craze T-shirt at the grave. She's now going out with Britain's most dangerous prisoner. Perhaps I'm actually a goodie. You know, it's nice sometimes to have a nice feeling
I
about yourself.
understand Tim Brooke-Taylor, when his relationships break down, consoles himself with a similar thought. And Graham Garden. I'm not going to keep going.
Oh, go on, do them all.
But 2 out of 3
I
ain't
mean-
bad, as I believe Meatloaf
Yeah.
once said. Mara, he was talking about pie and chips. That he'd ordered 3. After 2 lots, he said, oh, that'll do me. But come on, guys. 2 out of 3.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're near the end of the show. Tune in next week when there'll be more stony ground from my live
Looking
TV.
forward to that.
Oh, yeah.
Can't
I'm
actually wait.
I mean, I actually think I will think about that every day.
I think it's quite feasible there'll be a joke that goes so badly it'll make my favourite goth look like Del by falling through the bar flap. But anyway, that's someone to look forward to. Thank you so much for listening today. And what else can I add? I think, is it World Book Shop something tomorrow, anybody? There you go. It's those kind of plugs that put things on the map. Oh, bring on the feathers.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.